Miss Gordon. In this video, I'm going to read you the story, Basho and the River Stones, by Tim Myers and illustrations by Oki S. Han. Basho is he's a real Japanese poet, very famous one, and this story, it's a fantasy story, is about how he was able to bring peace to a village that he lived in. Matsuo Basho is Japan's most famous poet, but few people know how he came to be a lifelong friend to the foxes of Fukagawa. When he first came to live near the Fuka River, Basho discovered a cherry tree on his property and agreed to share his cherries with the local foxes. For a long time, things were peaceful between Basho and the Fox clan. There was a great wa, or harmony. But then, some of the clan grew impatient and greedy, and one young fox, particularly fond of cherries, decided to play a trick on the poet. Japanese foxes have great magic. They're especially good at transforming things, and themselves. So the young fox made himself look like a yamabushi, a wandering monk, and picked 3 stones out of the river. These turned into gold coins. The fox knew Basho was poor, so when he approached the poet's bare little hut and saw Basho reading in the sunshine, he said in his best monk voice, "A good-hearted merchant gave me these coins, and I want to do a kindness with them in return. I've noticed that the foxes around here look very hungry. If I give you these coins, will you sign a paper saying you'll leave the cherries of that beautiful tree only for them?" Basho was quite hungry himself. He had little money for food since he spent his time writing and wandering in the woods and fields, and cherries, though delicious, only come once a year. So he agreed, setting the coins carefully on a low table in his hut. Then he picked up his calligraphy brush and wrote what the fox monk had suggested, signing it with his name. At that, the monk went on his way, chuckling to himself. The next day, the young fox couldn't wait to sneak up to the hut. He wanted to see how angry Basho would be once the magic wore off and the coins turned back into stones. But when he peeked in at the window, he saw Basho writing, with a huge smile on his face and the 3 river stones on the table before him. The fox was confused. Suddenly, Basho noticed the fox's ears sticking up above the window's ledge. "Ah, Kitsune!" Basho called happily. "Come see what good fortune I've had." The curious fox trotted around the hut and came in through the door. "Yesterday a monk visited me," Basho began, "and paid me 3 gold coins to leave all the cherries for you foxes. But some fox must have tricked that monk, because they weren't really coins at all. This morning they turned back into river stones. But see how beautiful they are!" The poet held up one of the water-rounded stones, admiring its smooth surface and rich color. "At first, I was angry and disappointed to lose the gold," Basho continued. "How foolish that was. Suddenly, as I looked carefully at the stones, I understood, and a poem came to me." "How many years have these stones loved the river, not knowing they were poor?" When he heard this, the young fox was amazed. And suddenly he felt ashamed. "Master," the fox said sorrowfully, "forgive me. I'm the one who tricked you, pretending to be a monk. I was blind and selfish, but you understood what was really important. I should have remembered that many things are more valuable than gold." Basho looked surprised, but then he nodded. "A good poem is worth more than money, and it lasts much longer," he said. "Thank you for being honest with me, Kitsune. And then, thank you for teaching me," the fox said. Then he bowed low and left. The fox returned to his lair with a heavy heart. Sitting alone, He wondered how he could ever repay the debt of gratitude he now owed Basho. Then it came to him. The 3 ryo he had buried beneath the stone lantern at the temple of Inari. Those gold coins, real ones, could buy the poet enough food for the whole winter. The fox dug them up and returned to Basho's hut. "Master," he said seriously, "you must let me tear up that paper you signed, giving us foxes all the cherries. I was dishonest with you and shouldn't count." But Basho wouldn't hear of it, as the fox had expected. "I'm afraid I can't let you do that," Basho said. "I accept your kind apology, but I've already signed the paper. It would be dishonorable to pretend I hadn't." "Then at least let me pay you for the cherries," the fox pleaded, showing Basho the coins and assuring him they were real. "Ah, Kitsune, I don't mean to be difficult, but you already paid me for the cherries. The river stones you gave me were beautiful, and they helped me find a poem. That was more than enough. My honor won't allow me to accept charity." Again, the fox left feeling guilty and perplexed. Slowly, he made his way through the woods to the banks of the Fuka River, pausing there with his head hung in shame. But he happened to glance at the purling water and noticed, just beneath its surface, more beautiful river stones. Suddenly, he lifted his head and smiled. "Now I know what to do," he told himself. The next day, he returned to Basho's hut, carrying a small bag. Basho frowned when he saw the fox approaching. Would the creature try to give him the coins again? "Master," the fox said, bowing deeply, "I thought about what you said, and I understand. So today I've come not with charity, but with a small gift to show my appreciation." At that, the fox turns the little bag upside down. Out tumbled 3 beautiful river stones. Basho's face broke into a glowing smile. "Ah, Kitsune," he said. "What a perfect gift. Yes, I accept them. Perhaps they'll inspire another poem. Thank you. You are too kind." The fox could hardly contain his happiness, but then he said, hesitating a little, "So, you promise to keep my gift?" "Of course," Basho answered, reaching down to stroke the fox's head. "Oh, master," the fox exclaimed, "I am so pleased." With that, he scampered off. That night, before Basho went to his sleeping mat, he looked at the 3 new stones where he'd set them on his table. Then he smiled to himself and blew out the candle. When he woke with the sun the next morning, he sat up and stretched, but suddenly stopped. For there on the table, just where he left the river stones, were 3 gold coins, glinting on the light from the window. Basho hurriedly went to the table, picking up each of the coins and feeling it. They were real. He was sure of it. Looking closer, he realized they were the same coins the fox had tried to give him before. Suddenly he understood and burst out laughing. They hadn't been river stones at all. The magical fox had tricked him again. What a clever kitsune, the poem said to himself. For he knows that I must keep a promise, even one he tricked me into making. So Basho picked up the coins and said a quick prayer of gratitude, knowing he could now buy food for the winter. Thinking the fox might be watching from somewhere, he went to the door and stepped outside to call him in. But all he saw was a paper fastened to the wall of the hut. "Dear Master, thank you again for promising to keep the gift. And just as the first river stones inspired you to write a haiku, these have inspired me." I've eaten cherries alone, but they're much sweeter when shared with a friend. "Ah, Kitsune," thought Basho. So from that day on, Basho and the foxes shared the cherries as before, and many other things. The end.